Hello and welcome to We Got a Podcast about Dragon Ball from A to Z, from Earth to Namek to Sadala. We cover it all. My name is Randy.
And I'm, oh my god, Diamond Merchandise, give me, Doug.
And I'm the Great Demon King, Kenbra.
Brah.
We're the world's strongest under the heavens trio de dangers here every other week to talk your ear off about fights, goofs, and everything else in the Dragon Ball cosmos. Doug, how you doing?
I'm great, dude. Just had a birthday. I turned 36. 36 years young, baby, still going, still have toys in my background. It's incredible.
Living it up. I like it. Ken, how about you?
I've been 36 for a while. I had toy boxes in my background, and I just moved them. I was cleaning my closet out, and I moved them off screen so people would think I looked like Doug. So,
yeah, hey, that's my shtick. So,
right.
Did you get your King Cold yet? You didn't get King Cold yet, did you?
No, dude, waiting on a Hobby Genki, so we'll see.
Gotcha.
See. And I'm just excited to talk Daima. Randy, what you been up to?
Yeah. Okay, well, we can't jump immediately into that because I do have some things that I need to share that aren't plastic related. I was a guest on the Final Forum podcast. I was invited on there, which is another fun Dragon Ball podcast where they've been watching the anime, starting with Dragon Ball Episode 1 and going through and talking about it there. And they finished it up, and they decided to just have a big old party, invite some people on to talk about all of the original series in one go. So it was the hosts, Jelly and Bikini, as well as Aaron and Vince from the Kame House Party podcast to talk about that whole thing. And if you want to listen to it, you should check it out. It'll be out Tuesday, November 5th. Otherwise, also check out the rest of the show. It's fun. You know, they get to go in depth and stuff, and it's cool. It's fun. And besides that, I know you're listening to an episode now, but there's going to be a bonus episode of We Got a Podcast coming out.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I've excluded two of my best friends from talking to me about a video game.
For whatever reason.
And instead enlisted a couple of other people to talk about Dragon Ball Sparking Zero. So that episode's going to be out on November 6th. And it'll be featuring Tyson, T. Hallams, as well as Golden Portable, Golden PSP around the internet. Yeah. You know, you've seen his YouTube videos, and if you haven't, go check those out because they're super, super great. And I'm really excited to talk about them. So long as everything goes according to schedule. We're recording 2 nights from now, so if anything comes up,
I don't know why Randy's excluding us, just because we have a little hot takes on Sparking Zero and we don't love the game. And
I messaged Randy privately the other day, and I said, have you noticed how I have not been negative about this game?
Ken hasn't, but why is he still not?
I mean, here's the thing. You guys haven't played it. You don't own it. You don't play it. So
This is prejudice. This is prejudiceness. I returned my copy of the game because Randy didn't invite me to the Sparking Zero podcast extraordinaire. But yeah.
Now, listeners, you have heard us talk about Tyson and PSP quite a bit on this show here, so you should feel very comfortable. Yeah, very comfortable listening to them talk with Randy about a game, which I'm assuming they all like.
Yeah.
We're going to find out. I'm excited to figure out how everybody really feels about it.
Y'all like it. It's the same square, circle game that's been... I don't understand the difference between this and Xenoverse, and am I going to get flamed online for saying... I don't understand what the difference is.
This is where we would just fade you out.
Okay, great, yeah. And another thing, you know...
I wasn't censoring him. He did that himself. Let it be known. So you have that.
I'm genuinely curious about that, though, so it would have been great if I was on the podcast. I'm just saying, but whatever.
Look, I asked, is it okay to do this? And you just didn't respond. So I figured, okay.
I was busy playing Sparking Zero.
Lies and slander. Okay, enough about that. Let's talk about something I think probably positive for all of us. Let's jump in and talk about that new anime, Dragon Ball Daima.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't heard, somehow been living under a rock, there's a new anime series, Dragon Ball Daima.
Been living under a rock where all you get is access to We Got a Podcast.
I'm so sorry.
And you haven't heard us talk about the show at all in the lead up to it. Like over the past year, just been like, oh, I just tuned out every time I heard that. So it's a new series, started October 11th, and we've got 2 episodes out. It's the most Toriyama involvement ever. So that is what they say. That's what they claim. We'll see. So I guess.
The story behind that is that this started off without his involvement, and then he kind of said, You think you're doing something without me? Evolution? I don't think so. And then jumped in. And
never again after Evolution.
Heavily involved.
What? That's great. I didn't know that.
I mean, much the same way that Battle of Gods was. They came to him and they're like, hey, you cool on signing off on this thing? They turned golden and they got capes. And he's like, no.
Step aside. No, let me show you how it's done. And
stabbed Koyama himself with a knife. Get out of here. I'm ready.
Someone had to do it.
Jeez. No lizard god Goku here.
It's true. So it takes place between the events of, it's in the middle of chapter 517 of the manga because the time skip happens in the middle of that chapter. After the fight with Boo and before that whole 10-year time skip. Does that sound familiar at all? Because Dragon Ball Super did the exact same thing. So we're here. It's been less than a year after the Boo fight rather than just some time later. And I'm sure that we'll get into all of the fun timeline shenanigans that Ken, I'm sure, has been racking his brain over in the last couple of weeks. So let's talk about some songs, I guess, because an anime always opens with some music. I mean, not episode 1, but we got 2 new songs, an opening and an ending. Fellas, how do you feeling about those?
I love. I mean, Nakama, the ending song, it's okay. I don't really feel strongly about it one way or the other. But Jaka-Jan, dude, I've loved it since day one.
Since the trailer dropped, right? Like, dang, and they've been like pumping it out in our heads like since then. And I thought I'd be annoyed by it, but starting on episode 2 when they use it as the actual intro, I'm like, yeah, this song is so great. I love it.
Yeah. It shares instrumentals with the song Zed. Zed is the guy who did the instrumentation for the opening and the ending song. I guess he's an instrumentizer. I don't know what you would call him, but he just does that, and other people like sing over it. Kind of like Daft Punk, but more of a boyish face, I guess. He looks like he's 12 years old with a beard, I swear. Have you seen him? There's a picture on the screen right now.
Oh, wow.
Back in June, he produced a song called Out of Time with B. Miller doing the vocals for it, and it's the exact same instrumentals as Jaka-Jan. And so was the music made for Dragon Ball, and then Daima kept getting pushed back, or whatever? We don't know the story. We can just tell you that one came before the other, and
well, it could just be like producers where they just have a beat, and like they need to find something to use it to, but no project has come up until Dragon Ball Daima was like, yeah, let's use this beat that I have saved.
I can just say for the record, I don't like this activity. Him just reusing his music for 2 different songs, I think is really lame. That aside, doesn't take away from Jaka-Jan, because Jaka-Jan's great.
It's true. The Out of Time, I think, is pretty good. I prefer Jaka-Jan, but it is strange because when we found that out, we're like, oh no, here we are again. Is this some crazy plagiarism? No, never mind. Same guy. We're all okay.
He plagiarized himself.
But it would be wild if we had to deal with that again, and we have Kikuchi starting with the next episode, and it's the whole new opening. Ooh. So we got to break down some stuff about who's involved in this show, and I'm not going to go through everybody on the whole credits list because I would get tired and you would get bored.
Not the camera guy?
No. Series director Aya Komaki and Yoshitaka Yashima. Aya Komaki, you know what? I'm not going to say anything because I thought I remembered, and that's not the right person, so it's okay. You should know story and original character designs. Akira Toriyama, he's back. I mean,
well,
in this certain
sadly
way.
He passed away this year, but he's back.
Back in the seat of designing these things. And the animation character design done by Katsuyoshi Nakatsuru, who did the character designs for the latter portions of the Z anime. And he's back. And GT, well, oh yeah, that's right, because I was trying to remember, was that Yamamuro? No, because he just did the movies.
And Digimon. First 4 seasons. And Digimon.
That's true.
Yeah.
Also did Digimon. But it's good to have somebody who has a big history with this franchise, to the point where at one point Toriyama said that he can't differentiate if he did it or if Nakatsuru did an illustration for something.
Wow.
So
high praise.
Big deal. Music by Kosuke Yamashita. And if you wanted to learn more about this dude, Tyson, who's going to be on this show for that bonus episode, put out a really cool video on the Totally Not Mark channel where he got to really dive in deep into this dude's discography and like what his vibe is. So check that out. It's very cool. I don't know a lot about music, but it was very eye-opening.
He takes a look at
opening.
He takes a look at Yamashita's other works that he's done. And to give you an idea of how much that's going to mean for the show going forward, if you ever listen to Kikuchi's other works, like the music he did for Tenchi in Tokyo, or the music he did for a Sentai series called Voice Slugger, it sounds exactly like any of these tracks could have been in Dragon Ball. So
cool.
We have a really good idea of where Yamashita is going to take Daima going forward.
And of course, I guess, kind of a surprise for episode 2, we've got recasts of a bunch of the main cast. So we're hearing different voices out of these characters for the first time in a long time. Bulma Mini, played by Mai Nakahara. Vegeta Mini by Yudai Mino. Piccolo is Tomohiro Yamaguchi. Kuririn is Aki Kaneda. And Mr. Satan is Toru Sakurai. So, do we want to talk about those new recasts now? Or do we want to wait until we get to episode 2 to talk about those? How do you guys feel?
I think let's save it for episode 2.
Okay, sounds good to me. So, we're not going to have a recap because this episode serves as a good one entirely. So, talking about these 2 episodes that we have in just quick broad strokes, how are you guys feeling after seeing them? Doug, tell me how are you feeling?
I am so hype. I'm going to change the color of my pop filter on my mic to a new orange color. Sorry for the noise if I hit you, but boom. We're in Daima space now, baby. It's a new world. I love it. This is a show I've been wanting for so long. Ever since I've seen like those like Naruto spinoffs and like the Attack on Titan spinoffs where they're like kids, I'm like, man, I wish I kind of did that for Dragon Ball just to have like fun with it. And they're doing it, but even probably better with a better story. You know what I mean? So I'm all here for it.
That's exciting. And I was not expecting the pop filter change.
No one would have. I just happen to have one lying around. It's not a big deal.
Ken, what are your thoughts?
I think right off the bat, I like the way Goku is written in this show. He seems more purpose-driven and not stupid, like we've come to know several iterations of Goku being written. I don't know how I feel about it as a whole, right? Like so much of these 2 episodes was just set up. We don't really know where we're going yet.
Yeah.
And so I am still I'm not worried, right? Like when we did our Daima predictions episode, I said I was worried about the show. I'm not worried anymore, but like, let's get going.
I kind of wish they released these 2 like episodes at the same time, like as one long episode, because it does finally feel after episode 2, we're like, all right, now we're going to get into it. Now let's explore. But a lot of setup, a lot of lore dumping.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think that, I'm excited to see where things are going to go now that stuff has started.
Mm-hmm.
But as a setup, if you're coming into the series and it's been a long time since you've watched Dragon Ball or read it, or, if you're a younger fan who's just starting to get into it, I think these serve as a pretty good way to catch you up and be like, okay, so rather than you just not knowing anything, there's been, 10 years of manga in the story before all this happening. I think it did pretty well. So let's just jump into that episode 1. We're kind of going all in on a recap. It's a longer episode than most normal ones. It's like 34 minutes rather than like 24, an extra like 10 minutes.
You feel it.
I didn't both times that I've watched this episode. So let's
Did they start commercials with that though? Because like, how would that work on national TV in Japan? I don't know.
Well, it aired on Fuji TV, and you just fill it in with something else. They've got anime that's like 10 minutes long. There are.
Oh, true.
Yeah. And I know, I don't know about this time slot, but I know when Super was airing, it was on like right after the news. So you just cut the news short by a little bit.
Interesting. So, start of this, 2 mysterious figures watch and scrub through footage of the struggle the Earth went through during the Buu arc. They are in awe of the power of these Earthlings. And we're introduced to the 2 of them, Gomah and Degasu. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk name puns real quick as we introduce each of these new characters. Gomah is most likely a pun on Goma, which is Japanese for sesame seeds. We'll get more into the kind of puns, but because there's a character later who has kind of a flower pun in their name, actually 2 characters with flower puns in their name that we know about, we can start to piece together that, Gomah is probably going to have some sort of vegetation type name to him as well. Seed type name. And then Degasu, much like Zamasu and Goasu were, he is a archaic form of be or is.
What?
Like, you know how when you're doing like a polite Japanese sentence, right, and you end it with desu?
Oh,
right?
yes,
like that would be kind of how it is. I'm guessing at. Actually, I'm pulling that out of nowhere. I don't know, but I'm assuming that's how that would go.
Gotcha.
Okay. So they're going through all of this stuff, learning things along the way. Like Dabura is now dead, so that makes Gomah the new king.
It's so weird. Like, not weird, but it's interesting seeing the different perspective in different contexts. Seeing Dabura being turned into a cookie by Majin Buu, because watch it in Z, it's like that's kind of funny and like, oh my god, but seeing it from like their perspective, it's kind of like, oh gosh, that's horrific. It's really bad. Our demon king like was killed by turning into a cookie and eaten alive. Yeah, it's wild,
horrifying.
Yeah.
We get to see some other stuff, like they're worried about Babidi, but never mind. Buu blows his head off.
Yeah, so there's so much lore dropping in this episode that are we going to circle back to Babidi's previous relationship with Gomah? Where are we going to go with that? Are we going, like, there's so much left open that we're just to assume. Are we going to ever start to flash back onto some of this stuff to be like, here's how Shin and Degasu were as kids, or, you know, I think obviously that will actually pan out. I'm betting.
Yeah.
But where are we going to go exploring Abra, or are we finally going to get Toa involved in here?
Ooh.
So who knows?
Because we don't know if like maybe initially you would think they've met before because they know each other's, or he knows Babidi's name or whatever. But I feel like all these gods have, like, reminiscent of Battle of Gods, they just have like a scrub full of like footage that they can just scroll through. So maybe he just knows of Babidi through watching footage or whatever back then.
Yeah, and Babidi, is he from the demon realm? Because he doesn't have pointy ears.
He doesn't have pointy ears, but he messed up a lot of worlds, I'm sure. So it was a notoriety, at least.
Yeah,
definitely could be. There's some more shocking revelations to these characters that what they call Nameks exist outside the demon realm and are living on Earth. They have Dragon Balls, and they have a weird number of them, 7. And they can grant 3 wishes, which really intrigues them.
Wasn't Purunga 3? So
yeah, he was.
Yeah. And so they were like confused, like, this one grants 3?
Yeah. Well, if you also think Super Shenlong also only grants 1.
Right.
But
they were specifically like, this Shenron doesn't look like the Purunga that's been described to me or whatever. So they're like, their standard for the dragon is Purunga. And so like it should be like, he grants 3, but they were confused about that.
I don't think they say Purunga, but they say like, not doesn't look as described or something.
Unless
like
the subtitles lied, it definitely had the word Purunga.
It did say Purunga.
They do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So maybe
it's worth note to make sure the subtitles aren't lying to you, because it could be.
We can get into that. So after this, we get introduced to Dr. Arinsu, who is also Kaioshin's sister.
Oh boy.
Yeah. She's intrigued why Dabura went to the human realm. She feels that her funding is in not a good way now that he's gone, and kind of like starts to sow some doubt with these characters. And it's like, oh man, sure would be dangerous if those powerful Earthlings came here and invaded the demon realm. Anyway, I gotta go.
Yeah, love that manipulation.
Quick name pun thing. Also, form of to be or to exist or to have, a polite form of it. So in the same kind of realm as Degasu and Zamasu and Goasu. I would love to see what was Dabura and Arinsu's relationship. Because was he like sugar daddying her?
He must have been, right? Yeah. or like would he like bend over backwards for her? Like she's like has no interest in him at all, but she knows how to like work a man to get money for funding.
There's definitely some comedic potential there.
Yes, because like just remembering Dabura in I think it's probably Z filler, but just him like, you know, in the afterlife in heaven with the girls, just living it up. It was great. I could see more of that.
So after all of this, Gomah decides that he's going to use the Dragon Balls to deal with these troublesome Earthlings. And we kind of have this weird thing where Degasu mentions like, oh, they have the power of magic. They're blasting light out of their hands. That's interesting. And that if Gomah were to make a wish to eliminate them, that would be, you know, a black magic wish. And it probably won't work on these people who are white magic users. So they'll have to do something else. So Gomah decides, well, if we make them into helpless children with one wish, obtain something called the third eye. And Degisu decides, hey, I'll take one of those wishes if you don't mind. And Goma's like, I'll think about it.
The third eye stuff is interesting because in Japanese...
Do we know what the third eye is?
Well, not yet, but in Japanese, they say Sado ai, and then they say, I don't know exactly what it would be in Japanese, san me, something no me or something. So they're just saying third eye twice. And so they kind of charm it up a little bit, is tertiary oculus, which doesn't mean third eye, so you would want to make it actually be oculus tertius. I think Julian Side Jedi of Kanzenshisa.
What I think though is that that's just like a funny throwaway joke that resolves itself in episode 2. Like when it's supposed to be like this like magic like power thing that he can do anything with, but it's like, oh, I can't grab it. I should have wished for that. You know, like that's the joke and that's it. I think anything else we're just thinking too much into it. You know what I mean?
Well, it's in the intro, dog.
Oh, it is? Never mind.
So
that's just a theory.
It was a fun one while it lasted.
I'm not saying it. Out of respect to you, Kenny.
Thank you.
We see that there's a mysterious man in the shadows who's watching them, and we'll get into more about him later. But Gomah and Degisu enlist Neba. I know that some go with Neva, but I'm going to go with Neba, if that's okay with you guys.
Why is that?
Because of the pun, Ken. You should tell us what the pun is.
He was not accusing you. He was like calling on you.
I know that Doug was accusing me, but I wanted to be like, Ken, you've got all this.
I asked it of genuine curiosity. I'm like, why? So
Neva's pun is just the word neba. So it is literally neba. Neba. And it just means stickiness, gumminess.
Oh,
like a slug or a snail.
I get it.
So
yeah. And of course there isn't really a definitive change between the V sound and the B sound in Japanese. So like
those are more fun than just like, his name is Slug backwards. Like so those puns are I like the creativity that goes into naming these characters sometimes.
Yeah. So Neba, who is an ancient Namek, again, I want to stick with that and I'll explain why. So they enlist him to join in their journey to the human realm to use their Dragon Balls, as the ones here are difficult to obtain because they are guarded by powerful Tamagami. And
Tamagotchis?
No, Doug, they're ball gods or ball lords.
Okay,
or
I like ball lord more.
Ball lords is good.
Ball lord over here.
And we even get to see one of them standing there, like underneath this huge, giant Dragon Ball.
They're intimidating looking. Is this something that Neva created to guard the Dragon Balls, or is it?
So yeah, there are 3 of them. They're in the opening, and each one of them has like a different Dragon Ball number on their chest. So in theory, you have 1 Tamagami per Dragon Ball, probably guarding them.
Oh.
And I believe there are 3 planets here.
3 demon kingdoms. Yeah.
Yes.
Whoa.
So there's 1 per each, one would assume, and then 1 Tamagami for each one. So after this long setup, we're finally with our regular cast. It's Trunks' birthday. Everybody's having a party. In classic Dragon Ball style, everybody's just... Why are they here? It's party time.
Yeah. And it's got to be someone of
friends.
Bulma's relation because she's got the money to throw these nice parties.
Mm-hmm.
In a world where Super never happened, I'd be perfectly okay with this.
Right.
I'm sick of these stupid parties.
Is it too similar? Yeah, it's like
I'm so over I always think back to the end of the Cell arc, and Ten Shinhan turns and he says, "I guess I'll never see you guys again."
I'll never see you guys again.
Pieces out.
There's no reason to.
If you think about how all arcs in Dragon Ball start, it is different collections of characters that all come together in the end. But they start from different points. And so an arc starting and everyone's already together. And then it's like, where's your journey to get to the point where you do come together? So in isolation, in Daima, if I judge it on its own, cool, it's fine. I'm really sick of parties in Dragon Ball.
Now
they got their socials now. They got the Snapchats and now they're always in contact.
Now, so if you had to take one or the other, parties as the start for the journey, or as some classic Z movies, camping. Which one is going to be better for you?
Oh, for sure, camping. That seems like more natural, like, we're just doing this. Because also on top of that, just like less characters around, so that if you want to introduce like a Ten Shinhan or a Yamcha, it's like a surprise, like, oh yeah, that character. But instead, it's like, no, everyone's here. And now we're just going to cherry pick who's going to be a star in the show.
is it movie 2 that starts and it's just Gohan and Oolong? That's your pair just chilling? It's those two guys and the movie sprouts out from that? That's what I'm talking about.
How amazing would this show have been if, like, because the whole thing is, like, the reason they got everyone together for a party is so that when they all turn into kids, we all get to see what everyone looks like as kids. How great would it have been if instead we got to see them sprinkled throughout the show and, like, that's Roshi? Like, you after, like, 10 episodes, you finally see him for the first time and, like, that's him? Oh my God, like, as a kid. That would have been great.
It has a lot of potential that you could really, mix it up. And
but
also
just blew their load on episode 1, so.
So now we cut to the sanctuary with Dende and Popo, and Gomah and Degasu and Neba have shown up, and they're here to cause some trouble. Of course, Dende is shocked that there's another Namek here, or Namekian, I suppose, what he might go with.
Which is just real quick about this. Why does Dende call him a Namek, right? Because in his mind, he would just assume that this is a Namekian from
maybe he
planet
knows.
Namek.
He knows all Namekians, maybe.
So,
like,
okay.
Some kind of hive mind.
We're kind of like blending into the next episode a little bit about who knows what, right?
Mm-hmm.
Piccolo knows who Neva was. Probably because of Nail. Kami really wouldn't have known that because he left Namek when he was a kid.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's more believable that Dende would know it because he spent time with the eldest.
Yeah, the elder Kai that watched over everything. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but why doesn't he know? Because it doesn't seem like he would know who Neva was. So why does he say Namekku-jin and not Namekku-seijin?
Right. So the distinction here, in case you didn't follow that, was that there are, of course, people from the planet Namek, which would be a Namekian, and then we have just Namek. So one assumes that's just kind of the name of this people that, of course, didn't originate on a planet called Namek. So there are Nameks, and then there are Namekians. And the distinction is like, well, these people are from this planet. These people are just, that's what they're called. That'd be
kind of like a Earthling or human distinction,
or Yardrat and Yardratians. They're from that planet. They're versus like Saiyans are not from the planet Saya. They're from planet Vegeta.
So.
I know we just read the Moro arc, Doug, but in the Granola arc, this is where we get our first instance of Namekku-jin, and it's when Mori is telling some people about how Namekians came from a different realm and everything, but he uses the term Namekku-jin.
They delve into that stuff in the Super Manga already?
In the Granola arc, yeah. But when Vegeta first... There's a Namekian in that arc named Monaito, and when Vegeta first sees him, Vegeta says Namekku-seijin.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So why is Dende saying Namekku-jin? Right? So I feel right now, and why I'm sticking with Namekian across the board, is I am not convinced that this term is not just being thrown around haphazardly in this series.
Gotcha. That it's just kind of like the new terminology, and they're just kind of retroactive being like, that's just what they're called and what they always have.
Right. It has more meaning. Okay.
I'll be interested to find out how it unfolds because we're only 2 episodes deep. So anyway, Neba has shown up, and he's got some crazy good magic because they're like, well, get the Dragon Balls. Looks like they've been used recently, so they're still in their stone form, so it'll make them hard to get. 4 seconds later, he's got all 7 of them. Just tractor beam from around the planet.
Hard for you, and then just does it, yeah.
And then, so it's like, they're stone. We can't use them. Oh, I've got a ritual, and I can, return them back to full power. And now they're here, and we're going to summon Shenlong, and...
There's something to Neba's, like quirky old guyness that like makes me think that he's gonna turn to not turn to the good side. I feel like he is always on the good side, quote unquote. But he's just like, because he mentions in the later episode where he's like, I can't do that twice. I bet you that mother flipper can. He can do it twice in a row. But he's just like, nah, I'm not gonna. You know what I mean?
He seems like chaotic and neutral, I think.
Yes. Yeah. That may be a better way to put it. Yeah.
We're not doing the whole he's Yoda where when we first meet him, he's just this, kind of crazy weirdo, and then actually that was just an act. I'm actually, I've got
not that far. Just like he does what he wants to do, so he's not on bad or good side. I guess he's chaotic neutral.
So the episode ends with asking for the wish to turn them into children, which is great because Shenlong, weirdly, all previous times he's like, okay, I'm going to intuit what your wish means, and it's going to involve all these other things, but he's like, how old do you want him to be?
I'd be so sick of the core cast, like giving these details. Like, all right, he's looked at the notepad. Well, what do you want? What are the details?
First graders. Okay, what if they're already young? I get babies. Like, so I'm like, oh, okay, I got you, fam. And then we have the horrifying transformation while the opening song starts to play, and Kuririn's like screaming in pain. Oh, no, I love that. That gets me going.
It's a good cliffhanger.
I thought it was really poor placement of music.
No. This is like Evangelion stuff where we're like got children singing like a nursery rhyme as like the sky is falling.
That's great in that show.
But in this Dragon Ball, I can kind of see what you mean, Ken, if we weren't like pushed with the song so much for marketing. If this is like just the second time we've heard it, or did they play? It's just the first time we hear the song in this series proper.
Yeah.
So yeah, it would have been like, this is the start of the adventure. Like, it's not like, oh my god, horrible stuff's happening to this character. So it's like, no, this show is now beginning now that everyone's kids.
Mm-hmm.
But we don't technically know that they've been turned into kids yet.
We all know because of the marketing, but then I guess that kind of puts it on itself that we know the songs of the marketing. Yeah, I don't know.
We see that Goku and Vegeta have been drawn slightly kiddier, but we don't really know the full ramifications yet. We've kind of blown past some continuity stuff that I wanted to bring up. Daima, irreconcilable with Super or GT at this point. And like I feared all along, it comes down to Kibito Kaioshin.
Oh, why does it always come down to them?
Because they fused at the end of Z. Okay, so as you all know, right, Vegito gets absorbed by Buu, but he has his barrier up, and then he breaks his barrier, and then Goku says, oh, I guess it must be the weird air in here. Just Goku, obviously the world's top magic scholar, saying it's definitely weird air in here. No, he's a bum hick saying, oh, it might be that, right? That was always what it was, but people took that so literally over the years that Goku absolutely knew what was going on here based on years of experience being absorbed by Buu. And
well, I mean, now that we are classifying Ki Blast as magic, maybe he knows a little bit of intuitionally about magic.
So for Super or GT to work, we need those two to still be fused, and they're no longer fused. And based on the way Kaioshin talks about how old Kibito is, it doesn't sound like they're ever going to fuse again. So those are out the window, gone.
My theory, something's going to happen to all these characters, and they're going to forget the entire events of this. And somehow they'll be fused back, like we're just going to reverse time, and everything will be undone. We're not going to remember any of this adventure.
That'd be that's good for like an OVA, but not for a whole series. That'd be disappointing.
So if for some reason you've never seen or heard, or seen or read, if you just listen to Super on the radio or something, let's kind of go over how they handle Potara defusion in that. So in the anime and the manga, Goasu says, the combining effect on those who are not Kaioshin only lasts 1 hour. In the manga, he clarifies that Goasu, he says that the fusion won't be permanent for Zamasu when he fuses with Goku Black, because Zamasu isn't an official Kaioshin yet. After all of this, Kaioshin, who is present for all of this stuff in the future timeline, which he is not, I don't think, in the anime.
I don't remember. It's been a long time.
Kaioshin is there and he says, that time in Majin Buu's body. So that was the reason the fusion was nullified back then. It was due to the time limit, not Buu. I never knew that. So we have explicit, hard confirmation here that there's the time limit thing is what happened.
Okay, so why can't it be two things? What if it is both the air and also a time limit thing? And somewhere along the way during Daima, Kaioshin and Kibito have to fuse for whatever reason. And they're like, okay, well, we'll just hop back inside Buu. But Buu, notorious napper for long amounts of time. So they don't get to it all until we get to the whole Goku Black stuff. And it's like, oh, I guess also there's a time limit. Didn't know that. I just go by the
There'd be no reason for them to fuse again, though. The first fusion was just like a joke.
Who knows where the series goes?
They did it just to see. And then another thing I wanted to touch on here is that I think it might be a Chekhov's gun situation. So we've talked about Chekhov's gun before and how GT always failed to stick the landing with that kind of stuff.
Yes.
If you mention a gun in a story, Like, you go out of your way to mention it, it means that gun has to be used later on. So I
think they're going to have to unfuse someone.
They're going to have to unfuse someone. Someone is going to use Potara at some point. If you notice, Degasu doesn't have them. Arinsu doesn't have them.
Oh, yeah.
So I think someone at some point is going to get a hold of Kaioshin's Potara, fuse, and they're going to have to somehow get Boo or a Majin, because there are other Majins around here, get something involved there with their weird era to defuse it. So I think they're just reminding us and saying, like, hey, this is the MacGuffin that we're going to use later on to undo this thing, just to remind us and say, like, we're using this as a plot point, actually, and not just a way to break your continuity.
In the Daima continuity, it is only way to unfuse is by being inside Boo, is what they're saying.
Currently, yeah. And I'm okay with that. Let me state for the record, I am okay with this being its own continuity. Yeah. I'm just saying this is why it can't work with the others.
As soon as you were mentioning that, I'm like hoping like, oh, I hope it's like 2 new characters that we get to see fuse. But I hope it's not just Goku and Vegeta again doing Vegito, and then just having a reason for them to break up. I want to see like a whole new character, 2 new characters fused into a new character, if that makes sense, and just have fun with that.
Or 2 new characters fused into somebody we've seen before. I've got ideas, and I know I'm getting weird eyes from Ken.
We're in Digimon territory now.
We are. So that was the end of episode 1. Ken and I decided to do a fun little experiment with our time in between seeing these things and recording. No.
Okay.
We watched the first episode of every Dragon Ball series to see how does Daima
Big
stack
4.
up.
Yeah.
Somebody did more than that, but continue.
So I offered up to watch Dragon Ball, Dragon Ball Z, GT, and Super episodes 1 and kind of go through them as like, how does Daima stack up as a first salvo into a series, you know?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I have some notes on some of these. Randy, what else did you watch?
Yeah, what did you watch?
Did you go into Kai? And
did you watch Tenchi Muyo again?
Superheroes.
Yeah, I subjected my brain to episode 1 of Super Dragon Ball Heroes episode 1, the only episode of that show I'd ever seen before, and I was like, okay, no, I don't ever have to watch this again. I'm okay.
But you know, Randy, I did open it up and I saw Fue's face and I said, nah, and I closed it.
Yeah. It's bad Yamamuro art, and I don't want to do it anymore.
That's a shame.
And also just like, it's a promotional anime. It's not meant to really have a good story.
Right. And just like, here's Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta. Have fun. Like that's
so. Dragon Ball episode 1. It very much is a fun intro to this whole world. But Ken, you've got notes, so let's hear what they are.
Yeah, I just love Goku and Bulma's dynamic being explored. They're setting up the premise of the show. You know where they're going with this, right? They introduce Pilaf much earlier than in the manga. They say, here's Pilaf, and get you to know him. It's just super charming. They add in little things like the Dragon Balls reacting to each other when they're nearby.
Yeah.
It's just really, it's cute, and it's just it's a mission statement of where the show is going.
Wow.
And I actually think it's perfection.
Despite being 10 minutes shorter than the Daima episode, the first Dragon Ball episode also goes through so much stuff in such a short amount of time. Yeah. We have Goku just out living his life. We have him meeting Bulma, and then we have talking about the Dragon Balls. We have the introduction of Pilaf. We have them leaving on their journey. We have Bulma being attacked and Goku needing to save her. Just so much happens in one episode.
Bulma peeing off the waterfall. Yeah.
Of course, that was the one thing you would remember. I'm glad.
Sparkling. Dragon Ball Z episode 1. As a lot of people remember this is the Gohan Lost in the Wilderness episode, which I think in isolation, it's not great. But when you watch it right after watching Dragon Ball episode 1, it's like third eye, your tertiary oculus opens up. It's mostly filler, but it's a direct mirror parallel opposite of Dragon Ball episode 1.
What?
So you've got them out in the wilderness, Mount Pao's setting, Goku and Gohan, and then they contrast Gohan's ability to fend for himself out in the wilderness with how we see Goku just like beating up giant fish and mountain lions and everything.
Fearless
that mountain lion from Dragon Ball episode 1 returns. It's the same dude. He's there. Also in this episode, someone fires a gun at a Saiyan, and the episode does a great job of setting up Gohan's, like the mystery of Gohan way earlier than even what we see in Raditz. So it's like they're sowing seeds in this episode that come up later. I just think I have a lot more respect for Dragon Ball Z episode 1 having watched it this way.
Wow.
Randy, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. I sat down and I watched all of these in one sitting. So it was just like back to back to back to back to back. And yeah, seeing those parallel mirrors, seeing, God, I laughed my ass off when the saber-toothed tiger took his hat. Yeah. Gohan is just screaming, running after him.
Oh, yeah.
Chasing after him.
Give me that back.
And then, introducing the whole mystery of like, wait, but he fell down this way. How did he get up here? And how did this whole thing work out? And then we have the introduction of Raditz, who, if you watched all of Dragon Ball and stuff, seeing this dude show up and like asking for somebody named Kakarot, you're like, what the heck is going on? Who is this dude? What is he looking for?
The obvious, like, they use the sun that's in the intro of Dragon Ball. The intro, like Raditz comes in his spaceship through that sun. It's like, that's so cool to use it that way.
And
it's such a good episode.
Looking back, it makes sense because that first chapter of Dragon Ball Z, as Viz splits it, Goku's not in that chapter. Mm-hmm. And so how are you going to start Dragon Ball Z without Goku, right? The show. So you have to add this stuff in. And it makes sense that the mystery of Raditz still permeates the episode, but then the other half of it, we are getting to enjoy time with Goku and Gohan, which we never really get to see them like this ever again. So
but we immediately see the dynamic of what they are and like where they both stand.
For sure.
That's awesome.
Dragon Ball GT does everything this first episode does in its first half.
Yeah, its first half.
And then it gets straight to the consequences of it. There's explanation. Like Goku versus Oob, Pilaf shows up, Shigeru Chiba introducing yet a third Dragon Ball series, because he's also Raditz. So we get the stuff with Pilaf, and then by the end of that first half, Goku has been turned into a kid.
And we're introduced to current day Pan.
Yeah. We get all that fallout from it in the second half of the episode.
Yeah. Oh my God, yeah.
So it's just more efficient storytelling, I think.
Uh-huh.
Like, put the rest of GT out of your mind, right?
It's hard to.
Yeah.
I see the whole Oob thing, and I'm like, this sucks. I hate this. He's not utilized at all. It is good, but I think, granted, it's more recent, the 10 years of Dragon Ball getting into GT. I don't think it does a really great job of catching the audience up on a whole bunch of stuff. Like, why is Goku and Oob here at the sanctuary and doing all this stuff? What is their relation with Dende or Piccolo? Or, basically we just get like Pilaf is there. He wants the Dragon Balls and he doesn't like Goku. And then stuff happens. Like, I don't know. It feels like you have to have like watched everything up through Z last week and then continued here. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I didn't take
that was the intent, I think. It was the week after.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But, in case your friend was like, I think I'll check this out. There's a new series. Let's see how this goes. Oh, I don't know what the hell is happening.
But at that point in time, if you have missed the Dragon Ball train, like, who are you? You're literally under a rock.
Yeah.
Well, that's those things that, like, you can do with this in, like, a meta kind of world where it's like, no, what this thing is. We don't need to reintroduce this to you.
Well, you've got to also think that at the time in Japan, you don't have a home release for this TV show. Like, you could go read the manga, but, if you wanted to start, like, I don't know what's been happening and I can't just watch a rerun.
But it was so big that Dragon Ball was just life, right? It's just like everyone knows.
Yeah,
that's when they take advantage of that.
I don't think that's how shows were back then. Like, today's shows have to be written with characters reiterating stuff every 10 minutes because they know you're looking at your phone, right?
The Naruto flashbacks.
They are structuring things, knowing that you're picking stuff up through the Mindgeist and trying to make like every episode you watch work for a first-time viewer to come in. And that's just not how stuff was back then.
Fair.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of how stuff was not back then, we get into Dragon Ball Super Episode 1, which is just kind of a trash fire of checking in on characters. Like you said with Dragon Ball GT, right? We check in with characters, but we check in with everyone through the eyes of Goku. It's him encountering Pan and this robbery, and it's him running into the Turtle Hermit. Even though they're there, we stay within his world. Dragon Ball Super Episode 1, we're all over the place. We're with Mr. Satan, we're with Goku, we're with Videl and Gohan, and Piccolo's overwatching them with a frowny face and way too much shading. And it's just, it's not good. I enjoyed watching it. I don't enjoy the episode. Watching it actually got like a huge nostalgia rush, but
Yeah,
I think it's trash.
Just a large chunk of it is just Trunks and Goten going to get some river water to give Videl. Like, what is?
Oh yeah, that was it, wasn't it?
They fight a snake with eyebrows.
What are we doing? Come on.
And the whole Beerus and Whis stuff in that episode is just so disappointing. The way they introduce them, it's so underwhelming.
Yeah,
I keep thinking of the movie. I'm thinking that's how it started, but no, it is like that, like amusement park episodes. Well, that's the second episode of Super, isn't it?
Yeah.
This one is they're just at another planet, basically to judge whether or not it's going to be destroyed by eating their food, and that's that. And like Beerus is a dick, and Whis is mysterious and aloof, but I don't know. It's disappointing.
So, if I were to rank them, Randy, I don't know about you, but I would actually say Dragon Ball at the top, episode 1, Dragon Ball Z under it, and then we're dropping down several steps
to GT.
And then I would even say GT.
Yeah.
And then Daima, and then we're falling off a cliff, and we're hitting Super.
Oh. Daima under Super.
And let me tell you, my wife fell asleep during this Daima episode.
It's a lot of just like, remember this, remember that. But
your wife is weak.
Drawn beautifully.
Low power level.
Hey, she's a nice lady.
As a person who went to school for animation, I guess I get really excited seeing really good stuff. So that entire thing, even though it's a flashback, I'm getting really hyped up seeing all this stuff having new life breathed into it. And I don't know, that's exciting to me. And like seeing the history of the series from a different perspective and like what they're surprised by. And then it gets you thinking like, okay, well, if this is weird to them, like what is their normal and things like that. I would put Daima above GT just because
I don't know. But it's just done through screens. If like maybe they had like gotten to be like holograms in the world, like and like kind of walk through it, that'd be a different way. But we've already seen the screen thing with Battle of Gods, so it's like nothing new and nothing creative with that. It's just like, here's this.
I think it's a weak first episode, especially if you're talking about people who've never seen it before.
Yeah, I wouldn't show this to some new fan.
Yeah,
like
I would not either.
Like, this is it.
I think it just. I mean, thank God, episode 2 is so much better.
Yeah,
I think this is just like a really relatively weak first episode.
Yeah,
agree to disagree. But I totally respect that. And I see where you're coming from. I'm in 10 years, play this clip to me and I will be embarrassed and be like, absolutely. I feel so bad about that. I'm losing. Well, because
the Super Broly movie did it really well. Like the whole, like, let's check through time, what happened. It does it like in 20 seconds at most kind of thing. Where this one, it kind of really like, we have to see what happens. And then the Gomo's reaction and everything to it. It's a lot.
Fair. I want to get jumping forward, if that's all right, you guys, because we got a whole nother episode to go through.
This is supposed to be a shorter episode.
Yeah, we're going to try. So, episode 2, less lore dump and flashback, and we've got new stuff going on. Everyone who helped defeat Boo are now turned into children. Gomah actually only gets one wish. He's upset that he doesn't get the other 2, but apparently those are for regulars.
That's a great exchange that Shenron has.
So this is a great way of explaining how the wishes worked in Resurrection F.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's multiple wishes told at different points in time, so you can really interpret it Shenlong however you want. Whether he doesn't consider Pilaf a regular and only gives him the one wish, or he does consider him at least a repeat customer.
Right.
And gives him the 3 wishes in the anime. Or the 2 wishes in the Toyotaro brief adaptation.
Dangerous rule for Shenlong to have, to be like, you've used it before. Yeah, I mean, you're a bad guy, but here, take 2 additional ones now. It's like, whoa, giving people too much power.
What I especially love is, and again, why I think this becomes incompatible with at least GT, is the idea of Shenlong having regulars.
Yeah, that alone is huge. I love it.
That he chastises Goku for using the Dragon Balls too much. He says, remember that final episode? He's like, Goku, this is all your damn fault because you use these balls too many times. And Daima, he's just like, yeah, I got regulars.
Yeah,
do what you want.
Yeah. You got a stamp card? You get your 6 ones free.
Yeah.
Gomah and Degasu kidnapped Dende to make the Earth Dragon Balls useless. So I guess that's just a thing that happens if we take them away from the planet.
Well, I think they were just saying like we're going to kill him. and that way the Dragon Balls won't be of any use. It's like, nah, let's not kill him. Let's just take him hostage. I think.
I mean,
that's how I interpreted it.
They didn't want to kill him, so they just kidnap him instead. Because I mean, that's something that they bring up later. It's like, I'm pretty sure that he's okay because they could have just killed him. Why?
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like in Goma's mind, he's like, to end it, we can just kill him. Nah, let's just take him hostage. Like that's what I mean.
Mm.
So how do you guys feel about Dende being turned into a baby?
Right. That brings up a whole new problem with that age.
During the Namek stuff, he was a child, but also like Piccolo, when he was a baby, he turned into a full-ass adult in 3 years. So why couldn't Dende just be like a year old? And then
different clan of, I guess, Namekku-jin.
Mm-hmm.
And that just insinuates, that just means that Namekku-jins have a long lifespan if Dende's been around for that long and is still considered a child.
Yeah, because he's as old as Gohan.
Right. But Piccolo's only a couple of years old, or 5 years older.
Piccolo is Nail and Kami inside him. So his lifespan is really like whatever.
You're right. Okay, that did immediately. Yeah.
Well, Dende's got to be younger than Gohan because he could have been 1 on Namek versus Gohan being 5, and then he also never went into the Room of Spirit and Time for a year, so we've got that added on there. I don't know. Whatever. Go for it.
It's cute.
It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. I mean, Dende's already short. It would have been weird to just see him shrink down 2 more inches, and then now you're a child version. Was his height inconsistent with everything? Like, wasn't at the end of Z he was like a taller teenage height kind of thing, but then they like brought him down.
At the beginning of the Buu arc, he's quite tall, and then over the course of that arc, Toriyama was making everyone like super deformed anyways.
Right.
And then so by the time you get back to Dende, he's kind of super deformed, but also so is everyone else.
Yeah.
And then when it came time to like rationalize that later down the line, he just stayed a kid and stuff.
Yeah. Hilarious.
Except in GT where he's tall again. But.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So everyone is dealing with being young or small again. And
this is Popo where has horns? Popo has horns apparently under that turban the whole time. That's awesome.
It makes it slightly less racist, I think.
Sure.
A little bit.
Unless they have very strange ideas of what black people are like. And like, don't they all have horns?
Oh, yeah, it's even worse. Yeah, Jesus.
So it's either not as bad or it's worse, but it's not the same.
Yeah.
What if he's classified as like an Oni? Or what is that, like an ogre, like from hell?
Like Gaz and Mez. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kind of gives off that vibe now.
So this is where we get our introduction to all of our new cast members here.
Yes.
And I'll be honest with you guys. So I watched it in Japanese at work, and don't tell anybody.
Instead of working.
But I had my speakers turned down low, and I could not tell that was not Mayumi Tanaka. But also like was my brain just expecting to hear it, and so I did.
Yeah.
I thought that was Furukawa as Piccolo, just doing like a younger voice. I knew that wasn't Horikawa as Vegeta.
Here's the thing. It took me until afterwards when I was like, that wasn't Horikawa because he can't do that
his voice
without the raspiness.
Strained, yeah.
But it felt like this is what Horikawa does in the 90s for like young Vegeta. So in my brain, I was just like, yeah, that's him. And then afterwards, like, no, it can't be. And then taking a look, I'm like, man, I think this casting is just really, really good. It was weird. I didn't know that they would replace Bulma's new voice actress because it sounded exactly like her. I was just like, huh.
Aya Hisakawa.
Yeah, there we go. Yep. So
I didn't know that. Well, no, I knew because I didn't watch this episode until today. Of course, classic Doug. So, but you guys had mentioned before when we were playing Mario Kart Saturday nights on twitch.tv/VegetoEX
or grabyournearest.com.
Yeah, that they changed the voice cast for everyone but Goku. So like I was already kind of listening out for it and like could immediately tell like, oh yeah, this isn't. Okay, that's interesting though. But I mean like, why do you think they did it?
Remains to be seen.
I mean, the fact is you're not going to have Horikawa playing young Vegeta anymore. It's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
And so if you're going to do that, just go ahead and refresh everyone. Like, look, you're not putting Horikawa out of a job. There will still be more Dragon Ball games for him to voice Vegeta in and collect his paycheck. I think he's doing just fine. But as for everyone else, you're making them kids. Go ahead and give everyone a new cast.
Yeah, and it is just like the sad reality of like, man, these these guys are old. The ones that are still living are old, and so it's like it's kind of hard to make them to make another show, have them commit to all this at their age. You know what I mean?
I would expect that at the end of this series, everyone becomes adults again.
Oh, we heard the voices again.
I think we're going to go back to like Horikawa is going to come back, Furukawa will come back, everyone, all of our main actors. But yes, now I think in the inevitability that Horikawa passes someday, hey, they've got a guy already who has kind of gone to Horikawa Vegeta school because, man, this guy can nail yelling Kakaroto. Which brings us to Nozawa, the one who has not been recast.
I think they'll be right in the streets if they did, you know? Like, that's been Goku. It always will be Goku. We've seen this Goku as a kid.
There is one, like, Japanese entertainer, I don't know what capacity they are, but they do a pretty dead-on Nozawa impression. So I think if they ever have to down the line, that person could... I mean, I don't know if they can act or not, but...
Right, that's true, too. But there's, like, this TikTok of just someone's old Japanese grandmother, they're giving him Goku lines, and she sounds... pretty damn close to Goku.
Well, what they could do, besides that entertainer, there's another person who does a spot-on impression, and it's this one machine of like pulling a car out of like a crash, like a car that crashed into a pond. So he posted it, just like the sound that it makes as it's being pulled in. They're like, is this Matsuko Nozawa voicing this like weird machine? It's just like, yeah, it sounds like her screams. It's just very strange. If you haven't seen that, look it up.
I'm not 100% sure about this, and it's probably not the case, but I think there might be a good chance that this Nozawa performance is like AI enhanced or something, using some sort of voice model of her own voice, because Nozawa has already said that she has offered up her voice to be used as like AI assistance or whatever kind of thing.
Oh my God, can my Alexa be voiced by her?
Be careful saying that while we're recording. So if this is if they have made a model of her voice from the past and they just overlay that over her current performance, because she doesn't sound like she's doing the kid Goku that she does these days that we've heard in other things.
There was something a little off about it. Yeah. I just couldn't put my finger on it.
I wouldn't say it's off. I'd say it's too on.
Yeah.
It's too on. Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's got a sort of a rougher edge to it. In these latter years. I mean, especially like thinking about Dragon Ball Z Kakarot for like her young Gohan. Granted, we're not hearing Goku Mini crying, which always sounded like, oh, we're not really pulling this off anymore.
We switch to the dub for this part of the game and then go back.
So it'll be interesting to see where things go with this. Because we could just go back to regular old stuff, or we could have this big shakeup and, you know, here you go, you're dipping your toes in there a little, but how are you going to feel when they're adults if they're still, and these people are still doing the voices? You know, they're young, they're fresh-faced, they could be around for a long time.
Do we feel that, like, she's doing a dumb Goku with this performance? I feel like it is. Like, I'm trying to envision this Goku being an adult and doing or saying the things he's saying, and it seems like we're back to, like, Super Goku again.
Well, he's a bit bamboozled because, like, the whole thing of his Bukujutsu doesn't work right anymore.
Yeah,
and his arms aren't the length that he's expecting. But
what a great way to introduce bringing back the Noibo as well. That's great.
But, like, why I say this is not dumb Goku comes down to when they're going to get the ship fixed, and Bulma says, I'll have it fixed in 10 days. And Goku's like, we don't have that kind of time. We have to rescue Dende, right? He's like, I know the mission. We have to go take care of this. Yeah. And Super Goku would be like, oh, well, you know, I'm sure Dende will be fine. We could have another party.
Like, all right, yeah.
More time to train. Let's go have a little sparring match, Vegeta.
Yeah.
Help me get used to this body, Vegeta.
So, moving forward here, Goku, Kaioshin, and Kibito go to the sanctuary to get an understanding of what happened. Kaioshin suggests that they use his ship to return to the demon realm, but unfortunately it is no longer functional. And
thanks
Goku's
to Goku and Boo, right?
Goku and Boo and, you know, that whole thing that was going on the planet of the Kais.
So what's the lore issue with this, guys?
There's a lore issue?
In the super exciting guide, I don't know which volume, character volume, again. In 2009, Toriyama gave a bunch of interviews about just different lore stuff, and we get a whole bunch of new lore stuff dumped. I don't know if this is where the Makaioshin are from, but anyways, the part I'm zeroing in on is the question is Kaio-sama a hereditary position? And in this, Toriyama talks about there is a planet called the World Core, where Kaio are born and raised. It's like a gigantic planet Kaio, and Kaio-sama and his peers are born as core people from the fruit of the World Core's giant world tree. And then every so often, Kaioshin is chosen from the core people who are born from a special golden fruit, which rarely occurs. There are occasionally delinquent core people with evil hearts. Those fall under the Makaio. So we've got this idea of the world core and this tree on it with the golden fruits. That is interview Toriyama lore of where the Kaioshin come from. Is that world in the demon realm?
Well, I'm trying to look up a thing real quick. Kaio-sama.
I can vamp some more.
Does he have pointy ears?
Yes, he does.
My figure's
I have a toy back here. Just look.
My figure's coming in tomorrow. God dang it!
I think it's definitely possible that this world core doesn't necessarily have to be in this realm. It could be from the demon realm.
Yeah. Now, Enma-daio, he does not have pointy ears.
Oh.
He doesn't, yeah.
Think about that.
Makes you think.
It gets pretty weird. So, yeah, I guess there is a thing that's weird about that. Goku suggests that we get a genius like Bulma to come and fix it. And we have this whole thing. If you remember Kibito in Z, just very much like, oh, mortals and they're below us and we can't be bringing them here. And he's just getting flustered of like, I'm just a freaking bus service for these people.
The fact that he's been reduced to just a teleportation guy, he hates it. And it's so funny to see.
Yeah, I love it.
You see it the first time Bulma's like, asking for a ride. He's like, what?
So 2 days pass where Goku works at trying to get used to his new body. Bulma works on the ship repairs, and the group discusses the whole exodus from the demon realm of, people coming from there to here, like the Nameks and other such people that we might learn are actually from the demon realm, which could be really cool. Goku goes to Karin to get his Noibo back. He's like, I think I gave it to Roshi. Like, okay, I'll go there. And young Roshi's like, I don't know where that is. And we get great Umegame just like, oh no, it's the laundry pole.
I didn't pick up on that at
I mean,
all.
either.
I did. 100%.
I was like, what does Umegame think is going on? Is like, is he misinterpreting the sounds in Roshi's house as like him having relations with some woman in there?
Yeah,
because he's looking at dirty laundry. Did you think that too, Ken, or what did you think?
I did not get what they were trying to sell with that at all. I thought it was really poorly telegraphed. But my wife picked up on it, Randy. She got the joke.
Really?
Okay.
I did not get it until Goku said it, and I was like,
wow.
Okay.
What was the red? I caught it obviously the second time when they pointed it out, but the first time was like the Noibo like really bright red and like kind of obvious, or what?
I think it has to do with the coloring because we have like the sunset, so everything is kind of in a warm hue, and then also I don't think the camera zooms in close enough on it for it to be like, and because this is the center of the frame, it's filling it up.
The clothes are waving in this, so that catches your eye immediately. Is the clothes as opposed to what it hung on.
And it's at the same time I'm thinking like, what does the turtle know? Has the turtle seen Roshi since he's been back? Does he know he's a kid?
Yeah.
Like, what is he confused about in this moment? And so I think it was just really poorly boarded and expressed.
Good attempt at a joke, but
if only half your audience gets it, well, I guess that might be a pretty good joke then.
Didn't Roshi use something in the original series as like something like really important as like a table prop or something like that as well?
The Basho-sen, I think, wasn't he using a pot holder?
Right. So, it's on brand for Roshi. So that's great.
Which makes it very, very good. So Goku gets back there. He shows off his cool staff that a bunch of people haven't seen before. Like Vegeta would be like, "The heck is you got a stick? Good job,
great."
And
doesn't he aim it at Piccolo, like to show off the extending?
Who also wouldn't have seen it because he used it to get up.
He literally gave it up right before then. This is so great. What like a great. That's what I love about this series too. It's like it's little. What GT did wrong is try to explain things that didn't really need explanation, and they did it poorly. I think this one does a nice job of like, that debate of like, where is the Noiba? Was it always in that? It's like, no, it should have been, but then Karin
nobody was using it anymore.
Yeah, Karin took it away because no one's going up there anymore that way. Everyone can fly.
As everybody's kind of getting caught up on all of this sort of stuff, we get a mysterious new ship that lands that looks the same as the thing that Degasu and Gomah came in, but it's a different color. And out steps a mysterious person who is the guy watching in the shadows from before, who says he is Glorio, and he was charged by the third Demon World King to bring Goku to defeat Demon King Gomah. And Kaioshin is very wary of this Glorio, not entirely sure if he's on their side, and he's also going to join them, going to the Demon Realm since he has knowledge of that.
So we're jumping through some things here. We get a little bit more on the Demon Realm. Not everyone with pointy ears is from the Demon Realm, but Kaioshin says that you can assume that most people are. And that in the previous time, there was like a mass emigration from the Demon Realm out into, I guess you would call it the living world. And so eventually they had to just forbid everyone leaving, because I'm sure we'll get into that more in future episodes. Piccolo, of course, knows Neva. We talked about that a little bit. Glorio's name pun comes from the Gloriosa, not Gloriosa. It's a Harry Potter reference.
Gotcha.
Gloriosa flower. And then, of course, we haven't met Pansy yet, but she's also Pansy flower. So we're getting a lot of flower stuff, seed stuff with Gomah as well.
Is Glorio voiced by Eren Yeager? It sounds very like, I'm going to kill them all.
Yuki Kaji? I don't believe so.
Okay. He just had that similar voice, which would have been hilarious to see.
He just sounds like he's bored.
Yeah.
I don't like this guy at all. I don't like his design. Let me say, I don't like the way Nakatsuru interpreted Toriyama's design. I think Toriyama's art on this character is pretty okay, but I don't like the way Nakatsuru.
He's not doing it for me. He was it Miris? That was his name, right? That from the
from Moro.
He kind of gives me that vibe, but I don't know.
Yeah, but that was an interesting character design because he had such a bad haircut, so that was memorable.
Yes, it was on purpose to do that. Yeah, but this one is just like, no, this is what we got. This Han Solo looking guy.
I mean, he's got his pants and his boots and his gun holster and belt. So yeah, I would say definitely.
There could be something from this lore-wise later if he ends up being related to Mira in some capacity, who was a creation of Toa, who is Dabura's sister in the Xenoverse games and Dragon Ball Online and like everything these days. So
with all that, I'm just more excited to delve more into this demon world too. It's going to be great.
Mm-hmm. It's a rich tapestry of things we can get into because we've always talked about the demon realm, but we've never really done anything with it. So. Yeah,
I feel like with Dragon Ball, we kept tapping into like the gods and everything, and like to a certain point you get to Zeno, and it's just like ridiculous at this point. So now it's nice that we're not really delving too deep back into that. We're doing a new thing with demons, and it's like, yeah, great. This is a thing that it was in the world.
So speaking of the multiverse, we've totally skipped over this, but in the first episode, traveling from the demon realm, they have to specify that they're going to Universe 7.
Yep.
Which kind of implies to me that there's one demon realm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Outside of the multiverse.
I mean, makes sense because Universe 6 also has Namekians, so...
It's kind of like Apocalypse in DC Comics. There's like one dark side. There's no like multiversal dark side.
So you're saying the demon realm can then access all multiverses?
Right. So it's like, it's connected to all of them, all of the universes.
Right. So the possibilities are even more endless.
Well, and it makes it like Dabura was that much bigger of a deal.
Yeah.
There were not 12 Daburas.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's bonkers. The mind boggles thinking about how this whole thing goes. Anything else before we get into the rest of this, Ken?
No, let's go ahead.
Okay. Well, I mean...
I forgot where I am, so you just go ahead.
Nameks don't like being ruled over, so that's why they were...
That'll come up.
Yeah, who does? Yeah. That was a weird thing.
So they're going to take off on the plane, not a spaceship, because it doesn't have to go through space, which was just a weird, fun exchange between Glorio and Bulma. Like, look, if it goes through space, it's a spaceship, okay? So brings up that only 3 people can fit, and that's going to be him, Goku, and Kaioshin. So Vegeta can't come with, who wants to not be a brat anymore.
One thing my wife pointed out, when Bulma goes to check out the ship, she's definitely planting a tracker on that thing.
Oh, maybe. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I mean, because, I'm looking at her. I'm like, she's not even looking at the intricacies of how this thing is built. She's just like looking at the outside, like, oh, I get it now. Yeah. Oh, multiversal travel. It's so weird.
It does make sense that she does get a look at it, because then she's like, oh, now I know how this whole thing is supposed to work. It's not going to take another 8 days to
I just gave it like kid show logic, where I mean, even her making like pulling 10 days out of her ass, like I can do this in 10 days. Like, where'd you get that number from? You didn't even look at it. You just looked at the outside of the ship.
I forgot to look up how long it took her to retrofit Kami's ship, but I don't know if that was a comparable amount of time.
Interesting. Yeah.
So she's got experience working with alien spaceships.
Yeah, and she's just a genius,
time machines. So. Yeah. Oh, different Bulma.
She can do it all.
So this book,
what a weird way to like just kind of cherry pick your main 3 characters. I guess to keep this reads too much into like no, let's keep Piccolo and Vegeta out for a second for now, and then bring it back later. Because in all the promotional material, it's Piccolo and Vegeta are there front center. It's not going to be a Pan, Trunks, and Goku thing all over again.
I mean, we've got 2 small people and then 1 cool adult who has got kind of some Trunks vibes. I mean, future Trunks vibes, not so much GT adult Trunks vibes.
But it's not going to be forever as GT was. It's like...
No, because we get Pansy
made obvious.
And we'll get the rest.
I think narratively it makes sense to just have Goku and Kaioshin go, because then, you get to meet Pansy and be introduced to this whole world without having to have, like, every character share time for that, and you can just see it more through.
But in
Goku
reality,
and Kaioshin's
like
eyes.
You would have seen the ship with like everyone crammed in. You would have seen that for a minute, and then
I mean, it's Glorio's ship. He gets to call who's going where.
Yeah,
so.
And I guess that also gives reason for Bulma to still fix this other machine that they have.
Mm-hmm. So Vegeta and the others will join them when Bulma has this ship fixed, and off to the Demon Realm they go, and that's the end of episode 2.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
The journey really begins now, boys.
Yeah, man. I loved the ending animation. There are some great homages to GT's opening.
Yeah.
For just the random shots. I mean, they've got somebody who's like washing clothes like right by the river, and then we had that whole thing of like Pan holding Goku's clothes to him, and he's just standing there naked.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely a feeling of they're trying to pull from past series to make this be like an amalgamation of everything. Unfortunately, that includes Super's birthday parties and all that BS. But
if that worked before. I wonder if episode 3 is going to take too much time introducing Pansy, though. That's what I'm kind of worried about, but whatever.
How long does she stay the masked Majin before they reveal her? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
What?
So in early promo materials, she was just advertised as the masked Majin, and it wasn't until... I think they announced her voice actor that they gave her the name Pansy and took the mask off. But
cool.
So how long does she stay like that? I don't know.
Yeah.
My wife did not like episode 1. She really liked episode 2.
Hey,
so that's the wife review.
That's a great, more wife reviews, please.
I'm just excited. I liked episode 2, but I also liked episode 1. But I definitely thought that episode 2 is an improvement in both just like pacing and characters.
I stand by wishing it was all just one big episode, because it would have been like a solid like episode 1. But yeah, still enjoyable regardless.
Yeah. Ken, regrettably, we have to talk about a timeline, I suppose.
Ken's timeline. Da-da-da-da-da.
Okay, so we're going to make this as quick as we can.
Great.
Doug, if you have any questions, jump in immediately. I need you engaged on this one, all right?
Where's my pillow? I'm going to take a nap.
Nope.
Okay, so first of all,
go on.
Trunks arrives, future Trunks arrives on August 764, okay? And he says that his present self will be born in about 2.5 years. We're getting into a whole bunch of stuff here, Doug. I can see you falling asleep already. So all this to say is that we are probably looking at around November 766 for Trunks' birth date, which means that future Trunks rounded up, saying 2.5 months, and that someone rounded up on Trunks' Tenkaichi Budokai application.
2.5 years, not 2.5 months.
2.5 years, yes, exactly. See, I'm confusing myself. I hate the timeline.
What are you trying to get at? Is that Trunks' age is off? What is this whole...
I'm unfortunately, because this uses Trunks as an anchor point for its place in the timeline.
Yeah,
Trunks, more than any other character in the original series, has a fraught timeline connection.
That's hilarious. Okay.
I mean, doesn't Bra also... and
I'm talking about just the original series, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because we get so many birthdays and ages and all sorts of stuff that don't add up quite right. That pinning this series' placement in the timeline is like, why did you have to pick that character?
True. Okay. Anything else timeline-wise besides just like, well, things don't exactly add up for months, so it's weird.
No. And I don't ever want to talk about Trunks' birthday ever again.
Ever again.
Let us never speak of it.
Series is going to end with the Trunks 10-year birthday party.
Oh my God.
Okay, cool. Well, we're going to take a bit of a break, and then we're going to come back and see what you guys had to say about your thoughts about these first 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Daima. So stick around. Alrighty, and we're back, and this time we get to listen to what you guys had to say about Dragon Ball Daima episodes 1 and 2. So Ken, as always, manning the socials, putting out the call, and just a big open invitation to let us know what you think. So we're going to start off here with a familiar face, familiar name, J Lunar S. Jake, who, if you watched or listened to the most recent AF episode, he joined us while Doug felt that he could do other things besides the show that I didn't give him permission to do. I have the
right, except for being on Sparking Zero podcast, apparently.
All right, I get it. Your feelings are hurt. Noted. So Jake says, tonally, this is my dream Dragon Ball show, prioritizing character interactions, snappy writing, expressive visuals, and an overall feeling of mystical adventure truly brings Dragon Ball into the new age. Funny hindsight, though, the first 2 episodes of Super tricked me on a similar promise. Bonus tangents, I want more Piccolo/Katat's lore. I need more Dr. Arinsu. Music is fantastic, but I crave callbacks to Kikuchi tracks and reboot Garlic Jr. Make it happen.
Oh, because he's a demon.
His dad,
God. Yep.
Garlic Senior.
Demon Clan. Yeah.
Didn't I predict that in the new Granola arc that's going to be about the Dead Zone and Garlic Jr.? I was right. I was right the entire time. You'll hear from my
Never doubt Doug. Tomes writes in, Tomes. Says, my favorite thing about Daima has been the lore, quote, updates, especially finally getting an explanation for Piccolo being a demon and a Namekian. P.S. I am looking respectfully at Dr. Arinsu.
Respectfully. Very important, guys.
Jacob Sawyer says, it's been really great to watch and wonder about where the story is going. The Demon Realm is really interesting. The production is gorgeous. I will admit I am worried about the Kaioshin situation, but overall, it's been great so far. I'm curious to know what you're worried about for this situation.
I like Dogasu. Dogasu, is that? I'm saying my own.
Dogasu.
That's now the thing.
No. He looks. I mean, granted, he just looks like Supreme Kai when he's an adult, but he still looks cool and he's got like a edgy personality. It's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Polar writes in and says, also got to say that this is one of the first anime, as far as I know, to show Vegeta's Buu Saga outfit as One Piece.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, this is the best televised Dragon Ball has ever looked. Like, this is movie quality. I really enjoyed episode 1, though having the first 10 minutes be recap was a bit much. For some, I found it entertaining to see the dynamic of the new characters and get stunning reanimated Buu Saga content. I love the new lore we got for the most part, but a lot of people are running too far with some stuff. Like, there's still 20 episodes for Shin and Kibito to refuse. You can feel Toriyama's writing through the characterization of everyone, and the comedy is better than most of Super Aimo. Gotta say the opening and ending are so beautiful for the series and for Toriyama. Overall, I'm loving what we've seen, and I'm excited for more. The movie
Kaioshin was right at you, Ken.
I'm telling you, it's fine. It can be its own continuity. It's not a problem. Right. This is a very, especially episode 1 is very cinematic to almost a detriment, I think.
You think so? Why?
I've said this elsewhere. I think I said this during Mario Kart, is that I'm not watching a movie. I don't need it to look like a movie. I want a show. I want a good show.
No, episode 1s always go hard like that, but you don't need that.
Like in episode 2, they try to do this like dramatic pan around Glorio to show him, but they speed it up and it looks super bad.
It's not sped up. That's just how that animator does things. It's got a very weird sense of pacing. Is terrible. Back in the day, there was this dude, Anime AJ, who you might remember from our Resurrection F episode, who would do like animation recaps for Super episodes as they came out. And then he did other stuff, and we didn't really get to see him that much, but he's back with a vengeance for Daima, and he's done an episode for each one. So if you're curious, check out Anime AJ on YouTube to get the lowdown on each like cool piece of animation. And that's where I learned about that weird thing with Gloria. It's like, no, that's just how that dude does it. Like, he's got very robotic pacing. Did
he also do the Goku reintroduction with the Noibo? Because I feel like he spun it a little one time too many. I was like, all right, get on with it.
Yeah, no, and that was somebody else.
The way the camera moves doesn't look quite right with the animation happening.
It was a little off.
They're trying too hard. Like, just
yes.
Look.
After what we got with Super, we're entitled to this. Give me the good stuff.
I'm entitled to weird stuff from them trying too hard.
Yes. Sorry, you're talking about it. Which
at least the recap stuff looked incredible. Like, just seeing the scenes that we all love drawn this day and age, and not Yamamuro style. It was nice.
Mm-hmm. But he's back. He did animate a little bit on this show, so look out. Trent at Woodland Buckle. Is this new? Is this a person I don't recognize?
I think they've written in before.
Okay. I just have a bad memory. So sorry, Trent. Honestly, I thought the episodes were really great. I know some people thought the first episode was slowly paced, but none of it felt unnecessary. Plus, it's nice to have a Dragon Ball sequel series that doesn't have production issues, unlike GT and Super. I mean, doesn't have production issues yet. I know that this was done over a longer span of time and wasn't like, oh, we just finished the episode yesterday and now it's out. So, fingers crossed that it doesn't happen, but, you know.
I feel like I always I'm always gonna have this bias that it's just Dragon Ball, and just seeing this new Dragon Ball footage just had me like smile ear to ear watching episode 1 and 2, just loving. Even if it paced was slow, I don't think I would have noticed because I was just enjoying it being new Dragon Ball stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Aeon Penico, the mini version, which is an important distinction. It means they have a new voice actor.
Mini.
Yeah.
They write in and say, there's something special about witnessing a second weekly Dragon Ball series in your lifetime. The only difference is this one has so much time and passion put into the production. A lot might have found the first episode a bit slow, but seeing reanimated Toriyama accurate animation made me so happy. Then episode 2 dropped the intro, which might just be my favorite in the series, with its slow, melancholic vibes at the start, the honoring Toriyama in the music itself. It's true, we didn't talk about the subtitles.
Yeah.
Then the chorus pops off and it truly feels like a real adventure. I'm very excited for the future of this story and the series as a whole after these episodes.
I think this feels so much more like a passion project because unlike Battle of Gods, there was a movie first, and then they made the show, so it felt like, oh, the movie did well. Let's just cash in on this and just remake those episodes and make a whole new series. Whereas this is just starting out. This is a show, a new show, and it feels like a lot more passion is being put into it.
Mm-hmm. Nerdy Norwegian says, loved it. Despite featuring kid versions of the cast, it felt more mature than Super. No need for everything to be over the top. A great opener with good setups for later, and great character moments with both new and old characters. Unsure about the VAs getting replaced. I mean,
yeah, it'll have to get some getting used to. If you don't love it immediately, I'm sure it'll grow on you, and you won't even notice after a while. Hopefully,
yeah.
Get XX Lost. New account says, I'm in love with the show. Watched both episodes twice and I'm so impressed with the animation and the vibe. Can't wait to explore the Majin world with our heroes. Also, I'm curious if Gohan will play any bigger role here at some point. Eyes emoji. I don't think so.
They gotta keep him secret for some reason. He's going to be the one that comes in last minute to save everyone. He's going to be the adult.
We do see him. I mean, it's not like a current thing, but after like, you know, kind of like, here's the story. Goku is here. He's sent from this, and then Raditz showed up, blah, blah, blah. We have like Goku in his new outfit and everybody like in that lineup with everybody. And there's Gohan there. So we get to see
until
him
I
in this
see
new art style.
Gohan and SH figure art version of Daima, then I don't believe it.
I think he'll be in the last episode and he'll be like, what happened? Why was I a kid for so long?
That'd be so unfortunate.
I think we're overthinking it. I think maybe the answer is as simple as Nozawa didn't want to play 3 characters in the same show again.
Oh yeah, wasn't it so
she's
cute?
Getting old.
The little baby Goten and Trunks babbling to each other. That was cute.
Kai Alone. Yes, exactly. I really loved it so far. Not a lot of notes on our regulars yet because everyone's pretty on point. So let me just say that I already adore our new villains. The first episode may have mostly been Buu arc recap, but Gomah and Degasu really carried it so well for me. So many details in their reactions and interactions that tell us about their characters. I like how Gomah clearly likes having power, but also seems kind of unsure and insecure about it. For example, Degasu has to point it out to him several times before it sinks in. Degasu getting his mind blown a lot gives him some subtle family resemblance with Shin, which is charming. Now, we could talk a lot about potential lore drops, lore changes, retcons, etc., and I do think about those as I watch, but it's only been 2 episodes. I think I'll let stuff play out a bit more at this point before I make huge assumptions. Very mature of you to do that rather than, it's just in this social media world, everybody's got to have knee-jerk reactions and like throw stuff out there and get really hyped, and passionate about things. So I appreciate that, taking it slowly, like, let's just wait and see.
I think that's why I like the approach that we're taking to this is like, obviously we're doing it out of necessity for ourselves, but that we're going 2 episodes at a time and we're giving ourselves really the weekend to really think on the latest episode before we record on it, is that we have time to digest these and kind of have our knee-jerk reactions in a more private environment before we then come and record and talk about it with each other, so we can.
And then
get
by
that
the time
out of the way.
The episode comes out, we even have more time to be like, I don't mean what I said back then when I recorded this.
Here's my apology video podcast.
We're gonna from now on call them Namekku-jins, not Nameks. That was an apology. That's a full-on apology from me, Randy.
I mean, yeah, we're going to have another episode before I even start editing this one. So
yeah,
that's how it's going to go.
Saban writes in and says, way better than I was expecting. Seeing the animation quality not drop for episode 2 was a relief. It didn't drop. It was just, it didn't feel like quite the step that episode 1 was to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it
wasn't as noticeable as like a dip.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, if you look at like Super episode 1, which was already 3,000 levels below where this one was, or it was not I could notice it, but it wasn't like a big deal or anything.
Mm-hmm. So Packet says, a bit much on setup. Dragon Ball does not need to be action all the time, but these 2 episodes got a bit dry. But the heartwarming character interactions kept me energized and ready for more. New characters are okay, but their actions will speak louder than words later down the road.
I really like how divisive this has been with people.
Yeah.
It's good for something to create conversation, I think.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's nice to, be getting people with different thoughts on it, because it could open your mind to liking it more or hating it more, which is not great. But
as long as we're not all just meh about it, I'm glad we're on other sides.
Julian writes in, last but not least, most importantly, this feels so Dragon Ball. The new lore updates are all really interesting too, like pointed ears being a Demon World trait. Shout out to Mr. Popo's surprise horns. Hoping other characters, Bulma, Vegeta, get to play bigger roles as well. Dr. Arinsu, heart emoji.
Forever. I almost assumed that when I first saw her, I'm like, oh, is this girl going to be the one that turns into Pansy? But no, definitely. Right? That's not definitely going to not be...
Pansy wishes, dude.
Oh, man. So, thank you, everybody, for speaking up and letting us know what you thought about those episodes. And we get to see where things go from here. We'll talk more... Yeah, together. That's really what it's all about. So on Spotify, if you're listening there, or you don't have to listen there, you could just go visit it if you wanted to. Every episode we have some interaction stuff, like a poll for every episode.
That's what he means, Ken. Ken gave like a weird, what do you mean visit Spotify but
just
not listen?
Doug, roll with it.
And our last episode, which was the Moro arc finale, put up a poll here asking, how many thumbs up do you give the Moro arc of Super? And I got to tell you guys, people are right, because majority people, 85.7%, 2 thumbs up, and 14.3%, 1 thumb up, and no one says none thumbs up. So
nice. You're either or you're that's great.
And
I love it.
For the record, that was 1 thumb or 2 thumbs, and he was smiling. So
they could tell by.
They can tell by the
wind
dead
moving.
silence.
Yeah.
That I will absolutely remove.
No.
Look, that's just how it goes.
You got to add the swishing sound effects. So like my 1 thumb, swish, and then swish, swish. But whatever.
Some sparkly sounds.
Giving you more work to do. Yeah, please.
Exactly. So check that out. I don't know what the poll for this one is. It'll probably be something like, how many thumbs up do you give Dr. Arinsu?
So my God. I was hoping you weren't going to
go. I said thumbs. There's no way to take that any other way. So with that, we come to trivia. Doug, are you ready?
Son of a mom.
So we've got new trivia provided to the show by Trivia Deity Zenpai. And he's got 3 questions here for you. And they're all about the Dragon Ball Super manga, Doug. So settle in.
I'm here for it. I'm
just kidding.
Oh, they're not? Okay, great.
They're not. They're not. I let him know ahead of time. Don't talk about it. Doug can't handle it. He's over it. So, question number 1. Which veteran Dragon Ball character designer had a small assisting role animating in Daima Episode 1?
Oh.
Which one brings up?
Yeah,
Yamamuro.
That's correct. Tadayoshi Yamamuro. He assists with Shikashi Kubota's cut early on in the episode.
Negative points to Zenpai because Ken mentioned that a little while
I did
ago.
not mention it.
He didn't mention that specifically. I brought up that he does do some stuff in these episodes.
Gotcha.
So, now we go on to question number 2. When did the first ever episode of Dragon Ball premiere? Extra point if you also guess which weekday that date is.
What day?
Yeah.
It wasn't like April 14th, 1986.
April 14th. That's what you're guessing. Ken, do you have a guess here?
September 19th, 1986.
Ken's probably right. But it was a Tuesday.
You're saying it was a Tuesday. Ken,
yeah.
What day did you say?
I'm going to say a Wednesday.
Ken's going to get the extra point, but neither of you get the regular point because it was February 26th, 1986, which was a Wednesday.
I knew it was similar sounding to...
We had a 1 in 365 chance.
And we took it, baby. We were close.
Well, I would have gone with, close without going over, but you both went over because it was February and you went with April.
Right.
So.
Kind of hard to not go over. Yep.
Exactly. Okay, last question here. Out of all of the characters already present in Akira Toriyama's original manga, which are ones that only stepped foot on God's Temple for the first time in Daima Episode 2?
Wow.
So characters who never went there. This is their first time visiting.
From the original manga.
Right, so don't count Super or anything like that. Ken, you ready?
Yeah, it's Kaioshin and Kibito.
Whoa, you got it.
Why are they even there to begin with?
In Daima?
Yeah, for the party. Why are they?
Because it's modern Dragon Ball, Doug.
Dang
that's
it.
Why.
Yeah, I was afraid that was the answer.
Mm-hmm. How wild would it have been if Abo and Kato were there?
Oh my God, yes.
And Tobble. That would have been crazy. That hasn't happened yet, has it?
Poor
No.
Tobble.
It's 776, I think.
Oh, so next year. Well,
yeah. He's at his wedding right now, so he can't be bothered.
But I mean, at least Vegeta was dressed for the occasion. He's wearing his Saiyan formal wear.
Yep. Always.
So that makes it okay. That's going to be it, you guys. Thank you for listening. Thank you for interacting with us, because we love interacting with you and keeping you in the conversation, talking about our favorite franchise in the world. You can post at us on our shows, on our socials at We Got a Pod, and you can, of course, email us at wegottapod@gmail.com.
Thank you to Rifti Beats for letting us use his track, Kakarot Trap Hip Hop Remix. Is that right? Kakarot theme Hip Hop Trap Remix. You can find that track and other great music by Rifti on his SoundCloud. Ken, where can the lovely people find you?
You can find me at detectivex.besky.app, I think, on Blue Sky.
All right, there you go.
Randy, how about you?
You can catch me at Saber_Breaker on various things.
And you can catch me at DrabazDoug on Pornhub.
Wow. All right. That's new lore.
Spreading out.
Gotta make money somehow, guys.
In more ways than one. Okay,
Someone's gotta pay these figures.
This is the last episode we are recording before the U.S. election. So the next episode that we record, if we're like looking off screen, it's because we're looking at John King or whoever your board person of choice channel is. I'm looking to see which states or which colors and everything. It's going to be a hectic night next time we record. But we want to thank you for watching, for voting, for just being a member in your community and on the playground, where you're telling everyone about We Got a Podcast and making sure that they know when you're arguing about whether Vegito or Super Boo were stronger. So as always, guys, like, thank, subscribe. Yeah, thank, subscribe, whatever. We went way longer than I thought in this episode. I thought this was going to be a nice, tight 50-minute episode, and it wasn't.
Every time you say
and
that,
next time won't be either. So we'll catch you matinator.
Bye.
See you guys.